I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. You don't have to be an artist to make some really cool watercolor projects. Hello crafter and welcome to my channel, Craft is Autonomous. I'm Amanda and I'm going to be giving you the knowledge and skills you need to craft it yourself. So today we are going to be making watercolor note cards and I'm going to show you 5 simple watercolor designs. Now I've always wanted to be good at watercolor. I love that style of artwork, but every time I've tried it never goes well. But then I got to thinking that part of the beauty of watercolor is it does not have to be perfect. So I've put together 5 watercolor designs that are very simple, very forgiving, and don't require basically any artistic ability. You can make these designs and they will turn out awesome. The reason these designs turn out so awesome is they are purposely imperfect. So let's gather our materials and start watercoloring. So I've gathered my materials. First of all, we will of course need some watercolors, but you don't need any fancy watercolors. These are like from a dollar store or like the $1 ones from Walmart. We also need paper to do our watercolors on. Personally, I like to use cardstock because it makes the paper less wrinkly. I just am using what I have on hand, which is the 65-pound cardstock. We'll need a way to make our paper pieces smaller or to whatever size we want. I'm using a paper slicer, but you of course could use scissors. We can print some of our designs or we can add them with a Sharpie. And lastly, we have some water. So the very first step is to prepare our paper pieces. That is a tongue twister, gosh. Basically, you have to decide if you want to print a message on your paper or if you want to add it on later by hand with a Sharpie. If you are printing, you'll need to take a full sheet, print your phrases on there, and then cut it. Otherwise, if you're going to use a Sharpie after we've done the watercolors, then you'll want to cut your paper first. So what I've done here is I went into Canva, which is a free online graphic design tool, and I created these little words, changed up the font, and printed them out. So at this point, I'm gonna cut it down into whatever size I want my little note cards to be. And the places on the paper that I didn't print on, I will cut those out into different shapes for some extra note cards. To get it roughly equal on either side of my words, I'm just lining up the side of my words with the paper slicer edge and then slicing to get it roughly centered. Now that our paper pieces are cut out and ready, I'm going to show you the 5 watercolor designs. Now I didn't mention this already, but we are going to be using these really cheesy paintbrushes that come with the watercolors, so you don't need any fancy materials. These are very forgiving designs. So our first design is going to be simple dots. So I'm going to start by picking my colors. I think I'm going to do some orange and blue for this one. Gonna get a little water on my brush and dab it down into the blue. And I'll start with the blue dots. Basically, I'm gonna get a little bit of paint on my brush, go to my paper, and go in a little circle. Boom, that's the first dot. Get a little more paint, go to somewhere else. Boom, second dot. I'm just doing these really roughly, just kind of abstract. They don't have to be evenly round or anything. If I think I need more water, I can add a little bit more water to make my color a little runnier. Once I've got all my dots on my first color, I'll rinse off my brush and repeat the process with my second color. So next I'm going to do some orange on this one. Again, start by getting it wet. Same process, get a little bit of water and watercolor on your brush and just move in that circular direction. You can fill in and do as many or as few dots as you want. I actually think I'm going to add in a third color here. I'm going to add some purple. Once you get your note card looking the way you want, all you have to do is be patient and let it dry. The second watercolor design we are going to be making is simple boxes. What I like to do is I like to first pick a dominant color. So I'm gonna go with this color here. I think it's a red. Not a lot left, but there's enough to make it work. Add water to this section here. You can get this color mixed up on my brush. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make little boxes in a checkered grid. And to make the boxes, I'm going to put my brush sideways and just go up and down and move to the right. Skip a space, so about the same width. Go over and just go up and down to make a little box. The boxes don't have to be very even, they don't have to be perfectly symmetrical. Just roughly go along. Make a box just by moving your paintbrush up and down. And if you go off the edge a little bit, that's okay. Then I'm gonna go down to a row kind of below it. And in the spaces between boxes from the row above, I'm gonna fill in little boxes in the same manner. Simple up and down motion with your paintbrush. And you can make your little boxes meet together at the corners, or you can leave a little gap like I'm doing. Come down another row, do the same process, and if you need to, add more water to your paint color. But I'm going to do this in red across the whole paper, and then I'll show you how we fill it in. So now I've filled in kind of a checkerboard on my paper with these little boxes that are very imperfect. Again, these are all very forgiving designs. What I'm going to do next, I'm going to fill in all the white checker spots with random colors. So for example, I'm going to get some of this blue, and I'll make this square be blue, filling it in the same method. I'll make this one randomly over here be blue. I'm just randomly filling in the boxes with different colors. Same little up and down motion to fill in the boxes. I think I'm gonna add some of this like weird mustard color up here. I honestly have no idea what this one's gonna look like. Hopefully it's not terribly ugly, but we'll throw some of this color in there just for fun. So again, get the watercolor on my paintbrush and then just randomly go along and fill in boxes with that up and down motion. I'm gonna add in some purple. And you can incorporate as many or as few colors as you want. Here is how this design turns out. I think this is so cute and fun, and of course you can change up the colors to be whatever color scheme you want. But we're going to set this off to the side to dry while I show you the next pattern. For our third design, we are going to make some roses. It might sound complicated, but they're very abstract and surprisingly simple. So the first thing we want to do is add some leaves and greenery to our paper. I'll get my green ready. And to add the leaves, I'm just going to move my brush in a sideways little stroke like that. And you can put two of them together to make two leaves together. Or you can just do one. I'm gonna add some green all over my paper. So these are my leaves. Now we're going to add the flower petals. So I've got this pretty pink color here. I'm going to get ready. And to make a rose, I'm going to draw 3 C's. So I'm going to draw a C right here, then go to the center of that C, and draw another C shape, and in the center again, and draw another C shape. And that's how we make a rose. So I'll show that again. I'm gonna draw a C shape, another C shape, and another C shape. You can make the C shapes go in different directions to get different shaped roses. But we're basically just doing these kind of half circles to create the illusion of a flower. I'm gonna put these at each of the ends of my little flower petals on my little leaves. I could put some other random ones on here as well. Nothing fancy, and individually they might look a little strange, but once you see them all together, it blends out and makes it look like these simple, pretty abstract roses. Again, we have to let this dry. Our fourth design is going to be stripes, and it's as straightforward as it sounds. So for this one, I'm going to pick my color. I'm going to use this fun, I don't know, turquoise, would that be the color? Oh, it's not quite turquoise. I don't know what color. This blue-green color. I'm gonna load up a bunch on my brush, and I'm going to go along the top and do a stripe all the way across. Now, I like to do it where I let the colors get lighter as I get further to the right, but if you want, you can go back through and load up with more of the pigment to make it darker and more evenly mashed across. Then I'm gonna pick another color. I'm gonna do some purple here and just pull it across in a rough little stripe. And I'm gonna repeat this along the whole length of my paper, just adding more stripes of different colors. Again, you can mix up the colors however you want, and I'm just gonna set this one off to the side to dry. For our fifth and final watercolor design, I need a light blue, and I wanna make it pretty wet, so make sure you add enough water. In this design, we're going to make clouds. Clouds might sound tricky, but again, these are surprisingly simple. We're going to pick a spot to start, and we're just gonna draw little circles, and then build up taller to create a cloud shape. Just moving little circles, do a few rows of those to create clouds. The more watery your paint is, the more light and see-through the clouds will be. But we're just moving our brush in a simple circular direction. And just like that, you have some really pretty clouds. Again, we have to wait on it to dry. So here are how our note cards turn out once they have dried. Lots of cute designs. A couple things before we finish them up. The watercolors may make your paper curl. So if it's curling this way, I want to bend it this way. So meaning I'm going to straighten this curl out and kind of bend along the whole length perpendicular to the way it's curving from the water. And that will get it to be a little bit flatter. A few other things I'll show you. I kind of did some different designs of things. So for example, instead of just doing basic stripes, you could do little chevrons. Here's another way you can arrange the colors for the little checkered boxes. And then one other thing is if your project doesn't turn out right, you can always just turn it into a marbled look. So I wasn't happy with how this one was going, so I just kind of marbled it and threw a bunch of color on there. Now as a quick note, if you do watercolor over where it's printed, it will likely make the print job not so crisp, so just keep that in mind. So these ones are obviously done. You could write a little note on the back of these. But with one like this, you can use a Sharpie to put a word or a phrase on there. I'm going to make this one say hello. So a simple way to do some lettering is to write your letters first and leave them kind of spaced apart. And then we'll go back in and thicken up some sections. So I'm gonna write the word hello and I'm gonna make my letters have a little bit of a curve to them. So I'm gonna write the letter H with kind of the sides curved. And then finish writing the word hello, making sure I leave enough space between my letters. And then to make it a little more artsy, I'm going to thicken up everywhere that it's curved. So on the H here, I'll make this curved section a little thicker. Same on the opposite side of the H. The E, I'll make this section along here a little bit thicker. Same with the L's. And we'll make this side of the O a little thicker. That's a simple way you can add some words to your little note cards. Another idea is to take one note card that's a little longer and fold it in half, and you can make a little miniature card. Of course, you can put a phrase on the front and write a message on the inside. You can put someone's name on the front and then use it as a little gift, hole punch it and run some thread through the corner. And then one last thing I will mention before I wrap up the video here. Of course, after you've done your design, you could print on top of this if you want to get the perfect fonts that a computer can print out. If you want to do this, it might be a good idea to take a whole sheet of paper and do your design across the whole piece of paper and then print on the paper versus trying to print on like a little piece, because most printers can't handle different sized pages. And if you do your design across your whole big sheet of cardstock, it'll make it easier for when the printer inevitably doesn't line your design up where you think it's going to. It'll make it more forgiving. I personally have a hard time looking at stuff on the computer and then making sure it prints lined up the way I'm envisioning it. So that's why I like to print the words first, or else draw it on after the fact with a Sharpie. But of course, that's another option to print after you've done your watercolor design. But I hope y'all have enjoyed these designs, and I hope that it encourages you to give watercolors a try. Like I said at the start of the video, I'm not very good at watercolors. I've always wanted to be, but you don't actually have to be good with watercolors and be particularly artsy to make these fun designs. But thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up as it supports my channel, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more of my video content. But go make some watercolor note cards and brighten someone's day with a fun little handmade note. Happy crafting! Hey you! Yeah, you! You make me smile. Seriously though, I do want to say thank you so much to everyone who watches my channel, watches my videos, and supports me. Y'all are the best.